This shooting was entirely captured on video. And again, a warning, it's graphic. It is unedited footage of a man being shot. Take a look.
Can I see your license, please? Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
I just got my license. You said get my license. I grabbed my license right there. That's my license right there.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
So distressing. What did I do? What did I do? He goes on to say his leg is numb and the officer calls in help. You can see there, are you hit? I think so. I can't feel my leg. I don't know what happened. CNN's Martin Savage is all over this story. Our legal analyst Paul Callan is also here. Martin, I want to ask you first the condition of the person who was shot. How is he?
This 35-year-old LeVar Jones, and he is in good condition, actually. This all happened, actually, we should point out, on September 4th. He was wounded in the hip. He was taken to the hospital. He was treated, and he has been released. So he is out and recovering. Recovering,
as well as one can recover, having been shot. I believe there were 4 gunshots. Paul, you've watched that video, in fact, with me, several times, probably 5 or 6 times.
Yes.
Is there anything that you see in that video that is defensible for that trooper?
Boy, it's going to be a tough case, a tough defense. You know, you almost never see a case where an officer is arrested immediately in a case like this. Usually they're carefully investigated before charges are brought against a police officer. But you just cringe when you watch it because it's an obvious overuse of force. Now, I did note, if you turn the sound off and watch what goes down, I start to see where a defense for the officer will come in. What they're going to say is, it looked like when the victim turned toward the officer, he kind of had his hands together. Of course, he was holding his driver's license. Mm-hmm. So the officer will say, well, I thought he had a gun. But there's no gun visible. He's got his hands up. He's doing exactly what he's told to do.
I'm going to ask our control room if we can re-rack that, because you and I had to watch it 4 times, each time specifically looking at the moment that he reached in for his license. And I'd also like our viewers, if they would, maybe put yourself for a moment in the perspective of the police officer. As difficult as that might be, having seen what you've just seen, noting how quickly the victim actually turns to the car to get his license and whether that changes anyone's perspective. Have a look at this.
Can I see your license, please? Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get on the ground!
Turn. It all happens within a matter of about 3 seconds. The quick turn for him to retrieve his license, and then he turns back around and the license is in his hands. Is that going to make a difference? Because isn't that what police officers are trained to try to decipher?
Yes, and you know, as many times as I look at this, I see no justification for the way the officer acted. He can't open fire on somebody like this. It's a miracle that the driver of the car wasn't killed.
That he survived after 4
well,
shots.
Well, apparently he must only have been grazed, because the reports are that he was released from the hospital. And whenever you hear somebody say, why didn't the cops shoot somebody in the leg rather than killing them, you can't hit even at close range when your hands are shaking and you're nervous. This officer obviously overreacted. He was nervous when he was firing the shots. And I think when you watch the film repeatedly, you'll see it's going to be really hard to defend it.